Superheroes aren't perfect. Their flaws are often what makes them more relatable to readers, and makes them more complex, three-dimensional characters whose stories we can really connect to. So sometimes they screw up, and often, with the amount of responsibility they have thrust upon them, those screw-ups can have catastrophic consequences, or at least consequences that are far from ideal. So today we're taking a closer look at these mistakes with our list of the top 10 superheroes who were wrong. And at number 10, Batman from The Dark Knight Returns. Starting off this list with one of the lighter mishaps of one of the most popular superheroes, let's take a look at Bruce Wayne and Frank Miller's older incarnation of the character, in The Dark Knight Returns. Early on in the story, Miller explores Bruce's suppressed trauma over the death of Jason Todd, and his failures with previous Robins. So when youngster Carrie Kelly arrives on the scene and wants to work with Wayne as his new Robin, Bruce ain't having any of it. But eventually she proves him wrong, and that she's perfect for the job, by saving him, which results in one of the more rare heartfelt moments in the story between the two. Up next, number 9, Cyclops. Over the years, Cyclops, aka Scott Summers, has done some pretty questionable things. But perhaps one of the more questionable things that he's done was to kill Charles Xavier. During the Avengers vs. X-Men storyline, Cyclops comes into possession of the Phoenix Force, and takes it upon himself to look after the well-being of mutants, and the world as a whole. Xavier questions him though. His methods aren't overly great. And then the two fight, which results in Cyclops killing him, which definitely didn't have the best interest of mutants at heart, all things considered. Up next, number 8, Black Panther. Black Panther is a character with a strong moral compass, but that doesn't mean that he hasn't made some bad judgment calls in the past. In the Avengers Volume 3, Issue 6, T'Challa's reasoning is skewed when he decides it's a good idea to blow up an alternate Earth in order to save the regular Earth. It's a storyline in which the Illuminati are forced to figure out what to do about a situation in which Earths are colliding with one another. T'Challa is faced yet again with a similar challenge a few issues later in Issue 21, when he decides to not detonate another Earth, but in doing so is still disowned by the ghost of his father, causing him to lose Wakanda, and eventually causes Namor to pick up the detonator and blow up the other Earth anyway. Up next, number 7, Black Panther. Again, unfortunately our last number was not the only time that Black Panther decides to make a dire mistake. His alternate versions are guilty of it too. So on Earth 161, Black Panther is a little too trusting of Storm, who at the time betrayed the X-Men and fought against them. She shows up at Wakanda, and Black Panther takes her in, despite a lot of other heroes telling him not to, all while not realizing that this is actually an evil version of his past love. She starts using her powers to help the people of Wakanda, gaining their trust, and eventually T'Challa proposes to her. On the night of their wedding, Killmonger shows up, kills T'Challa's entire family, and then T'Challa himself, all part of Storm's plan to get power over Wakanda and still have their trust, seeming like she is also a victim in the situation. She then murders Killmonger and ends up becoming queen. And at number 6, Iron Man. From panels to frames, let's dive into the MCU for this number and talk about Captain America: Civil War. Now, Tony Stark didn't believe that Cap was right about Bucky Barnes being innocent concerning the explosion that went off at the UN and killed T'Chaka, who was king of Wakanda at the time. The situation acts as fuel to their already potent disagreement over the superhero accords, and whether or not the Avengers and superheroes in general need to be regulated by the government. While eventually Stark does realize that Cap is right, which leads him to coming to Cap and Bucky's aid, he then eventually learns that Bucky was responsible for killing his parents, which then results in him and Cap duking it out. Up next, number 5, The New Warriors. Speaking of Civil War, let's jump over to that story in the comics and look at one of the instigating factors of Civil War: the New Warriors and the televised fight that led to the deaths of 612 people. Prior to the events of Civil War, the New Warriors had their own reality television show, and during the filming of one episode, they carelessly take on supervillain Nitro, a character who can explode and reform at will. During the battle, Nitro causes a massive explosion that kills 612 people in Stamford, Connecticut, and most of the team. And at number 4, Batgirl. The New 52 offered a lot of promise for the revamped version of Batgirl. There was some controversy over the fact that DC was giving her the ability to walk again. She had become paralyzed in The Killing Joke and was repowered as Oracle, a superhero in a wheelchair, and one of the only superheroes with a physical disability. But despite that, with Gail Simone writing for the Batgirl title, people got excited, and Simone made the comic into something that DC had seriously been lacking when it came to kick-ass female superheroes who were complex, flawed individuals. This included exploring the trauma that Batgirl was still coping with. At one point, still getting a feel for being able to utilize her body again, Batgirl gets freaked out while trying to intervene in an attack by Mira at the hospital, which just so happens in the first issue of her New 52 run. She freezes up when Mira points a gun at her, which results in him getting away with killing a man in a hospital bed by pushing him through a window. In at number 3, Superman. In the Injustice universe, we're presented with alternate versions of many of our favorite heroes, half of which have gone bad and joined a vengeful Superman Superman and his regime. This all goes down when the Joker tricks Superman into killing Lois Lane, who was pregnant with his child. When Superman realizes this, he completely loses it, and kills the Joker, despite Batman's attempt to convince him to do the just thing. From then on out, Superman dishes out his new brand of justice by becoming the supreme ruler over the Earth, which becomes more of a totalitarian reign as opposed to one that benefits it. So, I think that definitely classifies as making the wrong choice there. In at number 2, Booster Gold. Booster Gold, aka Michael John Carter, was born in the 25th century and grew up in poverty after his father left him and his sister due to his gambling. Being a gifted athlete, he went to Gotham University on a football scholarship, but then his father re-entered his life and convinced Michael to lose games for gambling purposes. This led to Michael being expelled. So instead, he decided to go a different route and stole a bunch of objects from the Legion of Superheroes museum displays. He then went back in time, made it his goal to become a corporate superhero. In other words, get sponsorship and be super rich. While the plan pans out at first, he eventually ends up bankrupt after he's blackmailed by a member of the Manhunters into doing their bidding. And finally, in at number 1, Spider-Man. Perhaps the most profound mistake ever made by a superhero, and most defining one, was Peter Parker's decision to not stop the burglar who was being chased by a security guard after his mishap television appearance. The security guard calls out to Spider-Man to stop the burglar from getting away, to which Peter responds, it's not his job to catch criminals. The burglar got away, and later, to his horror, he finds out that the same burglar shot his Uncle Ben, giving him a fatal wound. This is when Peter realizes the famous underlying theme that continues to be prevalent in the Heroes comics today. With great power comes great responsibility. Alright, there we have it, friends. Which of these heroes do you think was actually justified in doing what they did? Do you think that there's other heroes who goofed up worse than the ones that we included on this list? Give us a shout in those comments below. If you dug this video, please spread the love by hitting those like and subscribe buttons if you haven't already. And don't forget to check out some of the other nerdy videos we have in our playlist that's currently flashing on your screen. In the meantime, thanks for watching everybody. I'll catch you all in the next video.